Alright, in this video I'm going to start talking about NPCs. I'm just going to jump around a little bit. It's probably going to be all over the place, but I'm going to start with one section here. I'm in the rulebook, and we're just talking about best and worst. Some monsters and moves have you roll damage multiple times and take the best or worst result. In this case, roll as normal, but only apply the best or worst result. Kind of like advantage. If a monster rolls its d6 damage twice and takes the best result, it's written B for best, and then square brackets 2d6. Okay, so roll 2d6 and keep the single best die. If it had 3d6 in there, you would still keep the single best dice. Or if it's W on the outside, it's keep the worst dice. So going from there, we want to have a look into the Fantasy Grounds Atlassian resource, and we're looking at supported dice expressions. And we can see some expressions here. Dice that keep lowest. Math. Roll 3d4 and 2d6 and keep the lowest 2 of 5 die. I think because my screen's a little small here, it's cutting some of it off. Okay, so we can probably rewrite some of the language that's used in the Dungeon World rulebook in a way that's going to use the Fantasy Grounds dice expression. So we got on here keep highest and some math, right? The math is the pluses, right? But the keep highest, so we've got 2d6 keep 1. So 2d6 keep 1 is what we're going to use for doing a best 2d6, all right? How do we do worst? How do we keep the lowest? So dice keep lowest. So here we've got one keep lowest 2. Keep the lowest 2 of dice results. So instead of doing keep 1, we're going to keep L1 will be what we're looking for. So in the example where we've got worst 3d10, so that means roll 3d10 and keep the single worst result. So worst 3d10 will look like open round brackets 3d10, close round brackets KL for lowest, or in Dungeon World nomenclature worst, and then the number 1. And obviously for keeping the highest, it's just K1. So I think we've got our dice strings there. We might have a quick test of those. So it looks something like /die 3d10 keep the highest one. That should keep the 9. And if we do the same thing but we KL1, we're going to probably keep the 4. Okay, so 3d10 keep the lowest one. Alright, that's awesome. So we've got our dice expressions handled there, and of course we can also do some math with those as well. If we then go to the monster section of the rulebook, it talks about a whole bunch of things in here, but what it's talking about is how monsters behave and what their physical attributes look like in terms of I guess mechanics or story. But if he's got long arms, he's got reach. If he's got a scaly hide, he's armored. So there are different attributes there, that descriptive attributes, but they relate to some sort of mechanical advantage. But that mechanical advantage may be played out in story, or when you impose the mechanical advantage, your sword bounces off his scaly hide. So there's reasons why they work in that regard. Now, it also talks about how the monsters act. So what is it known to do? What does it want that causes problems for others? How does it usually hunt or fight? How big is it? What is its most important defense? What is it known for? These are descriptive tags that help you define and describe the monsters or the enemy. What is its most common form of attack? Maybe it's got a breath weapon, but if it can only do that every 6 rounds, it's not its most common form of attack. It's claw, bite, and then it will also, as a bonus attack at some point, have its breath weapon. The other descriptive terms here. Treasure I'm not so much worried about really at the moment. So settings is just split the monsters up based on kind of like the types of settings where you will find them. So we're going to have a look at a couple of monsters. So cavern dwellers, caves, dungeons, that sort of thing. So we've got a name, we've got the attack. We can see here this attack is simply D8 plus 1 damage. Close and reach, this means this is describing tactically how far it can attack and how far it can reach. Special quality is burrowing, so this is going to flavour how it comes across the party. It's going to burst out of the wall or underneath the party or from behind the party or in the middle of the party. Then it describes its hide-like plate armour, crushing mandibles. The text here is quite descriptive, and that's how you will play the monster as the games master. We've got some other ones here. Okay, sorry, an armour. Armour doesn't make things harder to hit. Armour makes things harder to damage. So if something's got 3 armour, it means that it reduces your damage by 3 points each time. Hit points, that's the monster's hit points. And monsters tend to have lower hit points probably than Dungeons & Dragons. But also characters' hit points don't progress anything like they do in D&D. We've also got other tags here, group and large. So ankegs are found in groups. They are large. Cave rats are found in hordes, but they're very small. Chokers are intelligent, they're solitary, they're sneaky, stealthy creatures. All these tags help you describe your interactions between the monsters and the party. We're going to look for some other damage sections here. We just want to see where we've got one +3 damage in there, or D8 plus 7 damage. So this is going to be a pretty heavy damage dealer. It's not massive dice, but it's a +7, so it's always going to do at least 8 damage. But we're looking for some best and worst damage rolls. Okay, there we go. So the Will-o'-the-Wisp does the worst of 2d8 minus 2. Okay, so you roll 2d8 minus 2 each time, but you keep the single worst die. So let's see if we can translate that one. 2d8 minus 2, and we want the worst dice result from that. So /die 2d8, keep lowest 1, minus 2. Okay, so it was 5 minus 3. Let's roll it a couple more times and just see what happens if, so 3 minus 2 is 1. I want to see if we get a 2 or a 1 at the lowest end. Minus 1. So we're probably going to have to work out what the rules are. Is it always a minimum of 1 damage? And then we'll probably have to modify that result in some post-roll processing in our coding. So we've got some things here that we need to add in, and some other things that are going around at the back of my mind as well is that in Dungeon World the players roll, but in the combat tracker it's always the GM that does monster rolls. Now monsters don't do attack rolls, but they still do damage rolls. So I'm thinking in the back of my head all sorts of different ways where I might handle how to do damage. Do I just do it the traditional way and the GM still rolls damage, or is there an option here where I can somehow allow the players to roll damage against themselves from monsters' attacks? So there's some of the things I'm thinking. In the next video, I'm going to start drawing this up as a NPC sheet. All right, thanks, fellas.